Local radio with a worldwide connection. The Free America Radio Network. Go to www.freeamericaradio.us. Hey folks, how you doing? This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show for Friday, the 5th of September, 2014. Just a little show note, the views expressed live will not be on today, and that's usually on at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And, well, this is the only show that will be on today. The weekend is coming up. And yeah, every once in a while, folks, you just got to step back, take care of some personal business, kind of unwind, relax, regroup, reset. And that's what I'm doing, basically. In the last week, you've probably noticed that I haven't had the views expressed on live, but I've had some podcasts. The Free America Radio Network is scaling back just a bit. Not gonna, go away permanently. We're just scaling back a bit. I'm looking into some other options. I'll just leave it at that for now. I will fill you in with details later once I have them. But I'm scaling back the network just a little. I do want to invite those that have programs on Spreaker to send me your promos, and I'm more than happy, more than willing to play them for you. If you want to advertise on this show or on the Views Express Live or on the Free America Radio Network itself, please email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. That's freeamericaradio@usa.com. Or go to freeamericaradio.us and go to the sponsors page. Check that out. And email me, ask me anything you want, So there you go. If you want to donate to the network too, you can do that if you don't want to sponsor as well. Let's see, what is in the news today? Oh, by the way, you might want to go check out, I don't know if they have it in archive, but you might want to go check out the BK Factor over on shakeandwakeradio.com. Because I was on the show today. He kept encouraging me to call in. I was in the chat room, and I was just chatting away with people, and he says, call in. So I did. And I called in, and we spent a good, portion of the show talking about, stuff. And so you might want to go check that out. The BK Factor, that's over at shakeandwakeradio.com. Check that out as well. Pretty good network over there. I've heard some shows over there. And what I want to talk about before I go to the obligatory break at the 5 after mark is the fact that we don't always have to agree with one another. And that was the key thing that was one of the principles of starting this show, is that no, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just mentioning these things to you. I'm telling you what's going on, and hopefully you go check them out yourself. It's real simple. Mostly with Brian Keller, I can agree with mostly everything that he says. There's some things I disagree with him on, and that's fine. I mean, we all don't have to agree on everything. But it's a really good show, and he has some very good points. So you might want to go check that out. The BK Factor, shakeandwakeradio.com. Go check that out. And, you'll be pleasantly surprised, I hope, at what is there. So, anyway, I'm going to go to break. I shall return. Don't go away. This is a 1-hour show. I just want to remind you. So, not going to be too many breaks here, but take this one, and I shall be back. And you can email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. I'll be right back. Don't wait until another natural or man-made disaster strikes. Have at least 72 hours of emergency gear near you at all times, and that includes food. Get your emergency food supply today. Go to freeamericaradio.us and at the top of the page, click on the emergency food supply link. Help your family by purchasing as much emergency food supply as you need. You'll be helping out your family and Free America Radio Network. Thank you. Want to know what's happening all around us? You do? Great! Come check out the Diana and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri Talk Show, Friday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Spreaker.com. Have a nice trip. See you next fall. Attending their daughter's wedding in South Africa promised to be a vacation of a lifetime. But first, they had to face the treacherous gauntlet known as modern-day travel. Waiting for them on the other side of the world are an honest-to-goodness safari with amorous lions and elephants with anger issues. A life-affirming visit to a South African school and an anxious bride and groom standing patiently at the airport with a sign that reads, "What took you so long?" The answers lie within the pages of Please Hold Thumbs, a not-so-round trip to South Africa. A true tale of turbulence and triumph from Travel Mug Scott Cherney, author of Red Asphalt. Available at Amazon.com in paperback and on the Kindle.
Sharing the truth one fact at a time. This is the Free America Radio Network.
Hey folks, how you doing? This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce right here for the 5th of September 2014. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show. How are you? Are you doing good on this Friday? Because obviously some people aren't. I don't know. It's, I don't know. How you doing? You can email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. That's freeamericaradio@usa.com. And I don't know about you, but this whole crisis at the border is more constitutional than it is anything else. The word has it that ISIS is in Mexico right now, looking to attack America through the through the Texas border with Mexico. And I want to remind people of one thing, that don't mess with Texas. Okay? Just don't. Steer clear of Texas at all costs, okay? If you're listening to this show through NSA eavesdropping and other methods, if you haven't already seen the news, Infowars.com, Joe Biggs over there, former staff sergeant, Joe Biggs, did a little experiment. He dressed up. He did a mock thing, but he dressed up as an ISIS person with the ISIS flag, blah, 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 all that. Simulated, in a mocking fashion, doing, chopping off someone's head, but all it was a mannequin head and plastic and all that. And he went over to the Mexican side of the Rio Grande, and at that portion where he is in where he was in this video, at that portion of the Rio Grande River, it's only like a foot deep at that portion, at that specific spot, and he walked across, and literally, you can walk across the border. Mexico is not secure. The United States is not secure at the border. It is Oh, how can I how can I put this? If we allow the borders to continue to be open, we're screwed. Okay? We are completely and utterly screwed. Okay? I always say this, and I'm going to continue to say this, we need to close the damn borders. That's just the way it is. We need to close the borders because it's economically not sound anymore to allow anybody to come to this country. Now, regardless of whether or not they want, better life or anything like that, what they have to understand is we're freaking broke. Okay, what part of $18 trillion in debt do these people not understand? Okay? And besides that, it's also very, very dangerous to leave the border open. Because you got ISIS, ISIL, Al-Qaeda, whatever it is they want to call themselves. It's a group of people made up of operatives that the CIA and the FBI and the military-industrial complex created, funded by the Saudis, Saudi Arabia and all that. And they came to Mexico and are now coming into the United States to really do damage to the United States. And it's our own operatives and our own people, in a way, okay? So, close the freaking borders. Okay? Close the border now, period. Because I'll tell you what, we should not, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to encourage people to do this. Do not listen to anything that the government tells you at all. I don't care if it's the governor of your state or anything. Don't believe anything they say. Don't believe your state-run media when they talk about stuff like this. Don't, because they're lying through their teeth. They're going to continue to lie through their teeth because that's just the way they are. Okay? So take it upon yourself to take matters into your own hands and defend this country. You may have to go out and find the state militia. You may have to go find your commander of the state militia or somebody like that. And you got to get together with them and really make a plan. And if all they want to do is just exercise and, well, we really don't want to get into... No. If they're just wishy-washy, don't even bother with them. I mean, I know patriots that have come back, and I don't know them personally, but I have seen videos and heard interviews with people who have come back from Iraq, Afghanistan after doing 2 or 3 tours. They go to the constitutional state militia and either that or they go to and create their own group and they go to the border and they protect it at all costs. Okay? Now, I'm going to try not to be as harsh as I usually am. But if you don't like what I say, you don't have to listen to it. But I'm going to say this. If you don't have the balls, the backbone, the courage, the character to pick up and go to the border and protect it, whether it be in your state, if you're too far from the southern border with Mexico, if you can't go down to the border at Mexico or the border of your own state, you're a freaking coward. You're just a freaking coward. You don't care at all. You're a freaking coward. Now, I said it before and I'll say it again. If anybody wants to go to the southern border of Nevada and protect that portion of the border, let's go. Somebody got a truck? Let's go. I've got let's go. Somebody wants to supply the first aid kits. Somebody wants to supply the food. Hey, I got my own stuff too. So let's pack it up and go. What are we waiting for? Okay. Now, the question is, in some cases, let me clarify that. In some cases, the question would be, why should anybody want to go to the borders of their own states to protect it? My answer is a question. Why not? Since the southern part of California, the southern part of Arizona, the southern part of New Mexico, and the southern part of Texas is sporadically got people down there trying to protect it, and I'm not talking about the Border Patrol, then that's a start. Okay? That's a start. If people such as Cliven Bundy and people of that, in that type of situation are dependent upon people coming and helping them out, then we must go and help them out. And it is very, very important to understand one thing. Any group can be co-opted. Okay? So if you and I were sitting here and creating a group and doing all that, I'm going to vet you to the fullest extent that I can. And believe me, I can. But if I see something that is outside of the norm, and I start hearing things that are not quite right or within the principles of by which we are doing this, then that person's out. And it's tough to really understand why a person or another group of people would want to co-opt another organization. I cannot understand that. The Tea Party, which was started by a group of people supporting Ron Paul, and Ron Paul endorsed it and said, yes, let's do this. And then all of a sudden it was co-opted by the Republican Party, who completely and utterly destroyed it. Okay? Now, here's the thing. When you decide for yourself what you want to do, let me know. You know, if there's transportation from Reno, down, Nevada, down to the southern border of Nevada, past Las Vegas, hey, let's go. I'll lead a group. Let's go. You got the transportation. Let's take it. But you have to decide right now, this minute, who you're going to serve. The far left liberal loons coming out of Washington, D.C. that have absolutely no clue and have no care in the world what happens to you and I. And some of those people are the conservative ranks of the political parties in Washington, D.C. as well. Or are you going to stand up for yourself and for what's right and for the Constitution? That's one of the key things that I've looked at was the Constitution. And I found anomalies shortly after the formation of Washington, D.C. in 1871. The Act of 1871. Go look it up. And I saw some anomalies, and I thought, there's got to be something wrong with this. It just can't be this way. There's no way. There's got to be something. Well, I looked, and I found that something. And it's called corporations. We don't live by a constitutional rule of law. We live by a corporate policies and rules and regulations governed by the corporations and not by the politicians. And I know I'm rambling, but let me make an ultimate point here before I go to break. I want people to understand that I'm not here to, do anything except encourage others to look at the information that's out there, to judge for themselves what that means to them in their particular situation, and make plans, because you know the crap's going to hit the fan, and you might be in the crosshairs of these criminal controllers out of Washington, D.C. So you have to make an exit plan. Okay? Get out of the big cities. Get out of anywhere near the city. Just get out and get out somewhere outside the city. Find an exit point to which you can go. But I'm just here sharing with you the facts, giving you the truth, showing you who's pushing the buttons and pulling the handles, and hopefully encouraging you to take up, to do what you must from your point of view to survive. So I'm going to go to break. It's got a lot to share, and I know I've went way over with that explanation, but I'll be back right after this.
Big Tiny. I'm the host of Big Tiny's Oldies and More. And we're playing music that you just love to hear from the 50s to the 90s. So check us out Monday through Friday and see what we're playing right here on Spreaker.com.
Have you heard about a show called Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri? It's a talk show. Well, it's called Grab Bag Potpourri for a reason. They talk about everything under the sun, from education to politics, from lines at the cashier in the stores to parking lot drivers not paying attention. You want real radio? Well, you don't get any more real than that. That's Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show. Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of fun.
Lock it on to the best station on the net.
Are you a filmmaker and want to make your epic feature film with no money, some money, and/or all the money in the world? Listen to Christopher J. Taylor as he discusses everything you need to know about filmmaking and more on Film 101 on HTLA973.com. Local radio with a worldwide connection. The Free America Radio Network. Go to www.freeamericaradio.us. Tearing down the walls that stand between freedom and tyranny. Revealing who is behind the curtain, pushing the buttons and pulling the handles. Sharing the truth, one fact at a time. From behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9. From the biggest little city in the world. This is The Views Expressed Live.
Get ready.
Hey, folks, it's not The Views Express Live. It's Dwayne S. Pierce Show. Right here for the 5th of September, 2014. How y'all doing today? See what happens when you put in the wrong... when you program in the wrong intro. Stuff happens, folks. It's Friday. I'm trying to take it easy and trying to, you know how it goes. It's Friday, so, what can I say? Go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. Got a video there, and it says, "This is all the crazy stuff your police station is getting from the military." Go check it out. And lobbyists are lobbying Congress to, and other folks as well, even in the States, to, keep allowing the law enforcement in your area to get military-style equipment, or military equipment. From CNSnews.com, record 92,269,000 people not in labor force. Participation rate matches 36-year low. So there's that one to talk about as well. From MisguidedChildren.com, controversial DHS advisor resigns. DHS senior fellow Mohammed El-Abieri has resigned from the Department of Homeland Security as a supporter of the Muslim Brotherhood. El-Abieri, has been at the forefront of controversy since Obama hired him. So, yeah, there you go, folks. There's a couple of things that you should look at as well. Also, if you'd like, go to Free America Radio on Facebook. I've got some things over there. From freedomoutpost.com, The American Delusion. Yeah, check that one out. Let me read that one for you. I'll discuss this one. From freedomoutpost.com, The American Delusion, distracted, diverted, insulated from the grim reality of the police state. John Whitehead, the CEO of Rutherford Institute at rutherford.net, or Rutherford.org, one of the two. He says, quote, "In the age of advanced technology, spiritual devastation is more likely to come from an enemy with a smiling face than from one whose countenance exudes suspicion and hate." That's a good thing to say. Let me read that again, because I want you to understand. You can be shaking hands with your enemy as they're holding a gun behind their back. You know what I mean? They may be smiling at you and shaking your hand, but they might have something behind their back. Let me read that again, because this is very, very good. John Whitehead says, quote, "In the age of advanced technology, spiritual devastation is more likely to come from an enemy with a smiling face than from one whose countenance exudes suspicion and hate. In the Huxleyan prophecy, Big Brother does not watch us by his choice." Now remember that. In the Huxleyan prophecy, Big Brother does not watch us by his choice. We watch him by ours. There is no need for wardens or gates or ministries of truth. When a population becomes distracted by trivia, when cultural life is redefined as a perpetual round of entertainments, when serious public conversation becomes a form of baby talk, when, in short, a people become an audience and their public business a vaudeville act, then a nation finds itself at risk. Culture death is a clear possibility. Unquote. That was not John Whitehead who said in an age of advanced technology. It was Neil Postman, author Neil Postman. Caught up in the uproar over this year's latest hullabaloo, militarized police in Ferguson, tanks on the streets, and ISIS, Americans have not only largely forgotten last year's hullabaloo over the NSA and government surveillance, but are genuinely foggy about everything that has happened in between. Then again, so much has happened in the year since Edward Snowden first appeared on the national scene that it's understandable if the average American has a hard time keeping up with and remembering all of the events, quote unquote, all the events, manufactured or otherwise, which occur like clockwork and keep us distracted, deluded, amused, and insulated from the reality of the American police state. It's a very long article, folks. So it is on Free America Radio on Facebook from Freedom Outpost. Go check that out. Also from Off the Grid News, bill signed into law. Police can shut off all cell phones remotely. Okay, let me grab that one. Okay, police can shut off all cell phones remotely. Police and others will have the ability to shut off cell phones anytime they want under a bill signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown. California Governor Jerry Brown, privacy experts say the new law, Senate Bill SB 962, will require manufacturers to add a kill switch to cell phones that would let authorities turn the device off remotely. And the stated goal of the new law is to allow owners of smartphones to kill their phone if it's stolen, but privacy experts say the bill's language could be twisted. Additional language was needed, then they added. Folks, it's not so much, I mean, when you go back and look at the Telecommunications Bill of 1996, you'll see some anomalies there. And look at the amendments to that 1996 Telecommunications Act. It requires that the cell phone manufacturers leave a back door open for the government. Okay? Continuing, their other concern, this requirement will spread to other states. Quote, if you give law enforcement a tool that can be abused, you'll have an instance of asking for forgiveness rather than permission, unquote. Jack, I don't know, can't pronounce his last name, an expert on privacy at the Center of Democracy and Technology, told The Hill. Laparouk, I guess that's how you pronounce it, believes authorities could use the kill switch to shut down communications between protesters and incidents of civil unrest, such as the riots in Ferguson, Missouri. This one is also up on Free America Radio on Facebook as well if you want to read it. There's so much going on. DailySignal.com. Daily Signal. Let me say something about that other article I read. The thing that you have to understand. The thing that you have to understand is that we are under constant surveillance. And the technology that is there to stop our phones from recording video has been there for a few years. Okay, we just never heard about it. Let me go on. From DailySignal.com. There's a chart that shows how much fast food prices would rise if employers paid $15 an hour. The effect of a $15 an hour minimum wage on average fast food restaurant. Total workers, 36%. Sales, 36%. Profits, 77%. Thousands of fast food workers participate in strikes today, pushing for their wages to be raised to $15 an hour. It's important to remember the consequences that such a steep rise or raise could have. According to a new report released today by James Shirk, a labor policy expert at the Heritage Foundation, such an increase could result in fewer hours of work overall at fast food restaurants and higher prices for all. I'm going to say this, and it's real simple. A McDonald's job is a starter job. That's what it is. It's an after-school part-time job to give you some money. Some people, and I know people that have worked for basically for McDonald's, work there as a career. Now, if that's what you want to do, go for it. But generally speaking, Those types of jobs are just starter jobs. If you want a better job, well, then retrain yourself for a better job. That's just the way it is. Why should a franchise like that pay you $15 an hour to stuff burgers into a bag? This doesn't make any sense to me. Okay? So if you want to better your life, you must go to school, you must get an education, you must do what your task is to better yourself. Don't raise it. I'm not for raising the minimum wage because it puts smaller businesses pretty much on the brink of going out of business when they have to pay their employees. Okay? So anyway, go to the Free America Radio on Facebook. There's another video there from Guerrilla Media Network. Proof Ukraine crisis was manufactured by U.S. government. It's all right there, folks. Also from Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. People are most interested in Joan Rivers dying than events that actually matter, like the U.S. funding and training ISIS and Al-Qaeda and use them to destroy countries and take what little liberties we have left. I would have to say yes on that. We are distracted by so much stuff that we cannot really take our eyes off of that, the thing that is distracting us, and put them on something that is truthful and honest. We can't. And when we do, we complain because it's not our way. From U.S. Uncut on Facebook, over 700 fast food workers were arrested during nationwide strikes on Thursday, while not one employer has been arrested for stealing workers' wages, which total $280 million in 2013. So, we know that by raising the minimum wage, it's going to hurt business. We know that when you raise the minimum wage, the business has to accommodate for that raise and pass on that raise to you and I, the customer. So, let me ask you a question. Raising the minimum wage, good or bad? I want to hear from you. If you're in the Spreaker chat, say hi. If you want to email me, you can at freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. And I know how it's going to hurt smaller businesses. I talk to small businesses here in town, here in the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. And I tell them, you must abolish minimum wage, get rid of it all, just get rid of it, and institute a fair market living wage per region. Now, I say per region for one simple fact. Some regions are the cost of living is higher. Some regions the cost of living is lower. And little small businesses, say little 600 square foot little storefronts, they have little, whatever it may be, a little bookstore, a little something, they may have one or two employees. It's going to hurt them, okay? This is what I'm talking about. Anybody like, Taco Bell, Burger King, McDonald's, whatever. It's not going to hurt so much. But these little mom and pops, like what you and I do, it's going to hurt. It's going to really, really hurt. Go look up the statistics. I believe it was 1997, I believe. Somebody correct me on that year. There was a study out, 1997 study on minimum wage. Let me look it up. 1997 study on raising minimum. Oops, if I spelled minimum right, minimum wage. I believe it was 1997. Yeah, here it is. Making work pay. Impact of the 1996-97 minimum wage increase by Jared Bernstein and John Schmidt, 1998. It's an EPI study, Making Work Pay, the impact of the 1996-97 minimum wage increase. And it is a full PDF. The executive summary was federal legislation increased the minimum wage from, and back then it was $4.25 to $4.75. That's 50 cents, folks. On October 1st, 1996 to, that's a 50 cents gap right there. It went from $4.25 to $4.75 in October of 96 to $5.15 on September 1st, 1997. This study examines the impact of these increases on the employment opportunities, wages, and incomes of low-wage workers and their households. Now, it goes down. I will put this on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page for all you to take a gander at, because it is very, very interesting to show just how detrimental raising the minimum wage is on, as what we know, mom and pops. 1996-97 minimum wage increase raised the wages of almost 10 million workers. About 71% of these workers were adults, and 58% were women. Just under half, 46%, worked full-time, and another third worked 20 to 34 hours a week. Okay, that's just showing you who, the wages increased for those folks. The average minimum wage worker is responsible for providing more than half, or 54%, of his or her family's weekly earnings. The two-stage increase disproportionately benefited low-income working households, although households in the bottom 20% of the income distribution, whose average income was $15,728, received only 5% of total family income. They received 35% of the benefits from the minimum wage increase. Now, of course, I'm saying it's going to hurt. This article is showing it didn't. This is 1997-98, okay? 96, 97, 98. The fourth thing on here, it says 4 different tests of the 2 increases employment impact applied to a large number of demographic groups whose wages are sensitive to the minimum wage fail to find any systematic significant job loss associated with the 1996-97 increases. Not only are the estimated employment effects generally economically small and significantly insignificant, or let me rephrase that. Not only are the estimated, that's guessed, employment effects generally economically small and statistically insignificant, they are also almost as likely to be positive as negative. And in other words, what they're saying here is, give or take a couple of percentage points, it didn't affect anybody in a negative way or a positive way. Okay? So that's one study. All right? Here is a research from business for a fair minimum wage.org, and I'll put this up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show page as well. It says research shows minimum wage increase do not cause job losses. Not so much job losses as it is that people who, and here's what they don't say. I'll put this up there for you to read. I'm short on time here. So what they don't tell you is a company may lay somebody off, may downsize, may do whatever it is to increase their profits, and a couple of people get laid off. So those people go to different jobs and different companies, and they start out at the bottom. Okay? And here's the thing. They get paid a little over minimum, and it doesn't help. Give me an example. I know this from personal experience, from talking to people and listening to what happened to them. They were making $15, $16, $17 an hour doing a job, and they got laid off. The company, laid everybody off and that kind of thing and went out of business, whatever. And they went to another company and they expected to get, at least, $10 to $12 an hour, and they knew what they were doing, they were experienced, but they still started out at a very low wage, more than half of what they were making before. And they're like, no, we can't do this. We got to have this. Here's what I'm saying, folks. Those two studies, the research shows minimum wage increases do not cause job loss. They're not taking into effect the facts. It says here, the buying power of minimum wage reached its peak in 1968 at $10.74, adjusting for inflation in 2013 dollars. Now, let me break that down for you and give you the real thing behind the curtain here. What was the minimum wage in 1968? So now they're saying adjusting for inflation in 2013 numbers in dollars. Okay, it wasn't $10.74 in 1968. I can tell you that much right now. Okay. The unemployment rate went from 3.8 in 1967 to 3.6 in 1968 to 3.5 in 1969. The next time the unemployment rate came close to those levels was after the minimum wage raises in 1996-97. Business Week observed 2001, quote, many economists have backed away from the argument that minimum wage laws lead to fewer jobs, unquote. No. It doesn't lead to fewer jobs. What it leads to is people who have lost jobs trying to make the same, if not just a bit lower wages that they did before. And it doesn't support them or their family is what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that they're going to lose their job. It doesn't mean that they're, all this, that, and the other thing. Well, you can read the rest of that. And there's a lot of links down there for, where this stuff came from. Well, let me go here. The Institute for Research on Labor and Employment, Special Heterogeneity and Minimum Wage, I don't know how to pronounce that word, employment estimates for teens using cross-state commuting zones found, quote, no discernible disemployment effect even when minimum wage increases leads to relatively large wage changes. Unquote. Do minimum wages really reduce teen employment? Analyzed in 1990 to 2009 period, an earlier version analyzed to 1990 to 2007. Carefully controlling for more factors than previous minimum wage studies, the researchers found the answer is no. Here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. When you look at the actual numbers, when you look at the actual events in a person's life, and you can do this study on your own. You don't need to be, peer-reviewed or whatever. You can do this on your own. Just go around to a bunch of fast food places and tell them who you are, saying, I'm doing a study on thus and such, and I'd like to, ask you a few questions. That's all you got to do. If they don't want to answer, they don't want to answer. No big deal. You just go on to somebody else. And I'm not talking just a major fast food chains. I'm talking little ones, little ones as well. And just ask, how does the raise in minimum wage affect you, your company, and your employees? That may be the only question you need to ask. Because you're going to see on that scale, you're going to see a significant loss in business when it comes to raising minimum wage. And where does that raise go, folks? Where does that come from as well? It comes from the company saying, well, we got to raise the minimum wage, so we got to raise the prices of our product or service. And once you get someone who thought they had a great deal at your place of business, when you have to raise the minimum wage and you have to pass that raise on, that extra expense onto the customer, do you think that your loyal customer is going to think you're giving them the best deal in town? No, they're going to go someplace else. So it's going to hurt business. This is why I say eliminate and abolish the minimum wage altogether. Just get rid of it. By the way, the unions started all of that, and it's just a pain in the ass ever since. Get rid of it. Institute a fair market living wage per region. Look at your expenses, the basic living expenses. I'm not talking having a big screen TV or a Hummer out in your driveway. No. I'm talking basic living. Rent, mortgage, utilities, food, that kind of thing. Just look at the basic. On average, 2-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom home. What's the average? Look at that. And look at the region. What is the average in your region? You take that and then you ask yourself, what would be a fair market living wage to be able to just live basically? What would it be? Okay? And as soon as I can type this in here, living wage calculator. That's at MIT. Okay, so let me put this up there on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page for you to take a gander at that one too and figure it out in your area. So let's look down here where I'm from, which is Nevada. And let's go specifically to Reno, where I am. Living wage. Hourly living wage. The living wage calculator for Reno City, Washoe County, Nevada. The living wage shown is an hourly rate that an individual must earn to support their family if they are the sole provider and are working full-time, and that is 2,080 hours per year. The state minimum wage is the same for all individuals, regardless of how many dependents they may have. The poverty rate is typically quoted as gross annual income. We have converted it to an hourly wage for the sake of comparison. Wages that are less than the living wage are shown in red. A living wage for one adult in Reno, Nevada is $9.11 an hour. The poverty wage is $5.21 an hour. The minimum wage is $7.55. Okay, and then it goes down typical expenses. This is for one adult. Figures show the individual expenses that went into the living wage estimate. Their values vary by family size, composition, and the current location. Food, $242 a month for one adult. How the hell is one adult going to eat $242 a month in food? Childcare, zip. Medical, $109. Housing, $693. Transportation, $285. And it goes down the list. Typical hourly wages. These are the typical hourly rates for various professions in this location. Wages that are below the minimum living wage for one adult supporting one child are marked in red. Management, $39.11 an hour. Arts, design, entertainment, sports, and media, $20.66. Construction and extraction, $24.28. Personal care and services, $9.30 an hour. Protective services, it's in red, $16.47 an hour. Check it out in your area. Check it out in your area. It's on, I put that link on the, well, it's not on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. What it's on all those things that I just mentioned in the last half hour are on Free America Radio on Facebook. I will share them on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. But go check them out. The bottom line is, folks, we have to understand that no matter what, whether we have a minimum wage raise or whatever it is, whatever, it's not going to be enough because we're going to want too much. And we're never going to get paid enough because the companies aren't going to be making that kind of money because, of course, when you raise the prices of your product or service, that passes on to the customers, and the customers are going, I ain't getting a good deal here, and they go elsewhere. Okay? Here's the summary of what I've just talked about in the last half hour. We have to pay attention to what's going on. We have to understand our location, our regions, our areas, and we have to, and believe it or not, going into this direction, we have to tell the people in the city council or county board of supervisors or even our legislators in the state capitol, you're going to do exactly what we want you to do. And what we want you to do is this. And you give them a list. And if they don't follow that list, you make sure you demand their resignation. Now, I know that's a coup. In some form or fashion, that would be a coup. Well, why not? If this form of government is not the way that we, the people, want it, we have a right to dissolve it. It's in the Declaration of Independence. Go look at it. It is our demand that we have peace, freedom, security, and liberty in this country. And if our quote-unquote elected officials in Washington, D.C. aren't following that rule, it's not only our right and obligation, it's our duty to rebel against the tyranny in this country. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I find it incredibly odd. You know how a dog hears a weird sound and tilts its head. I find it incredibly odd that people don't have the balls to stand up to their elected officials. Or let me just put it to you honestly, they're selected officials. Okay? I just find that odd. You know, maybe they're too scared. Maybe they don't want to be inconvenienced by getting thrown in jail. Who knows? For whatever reason they have, it's just I find it odd. Okay? I will say this in the last few minutes of this program. We have to understand what's going on. And to understand what's going on, number one, we shouldn't fear it. Number two, to understand it, we must go and learn. We must ask questions. We must go search it out. We can't sit behind a door in our easy chair, in our underwear, watching stupid reality shows. We have to get out and be proactive in developing ways to where we can take this country back. Now, the fearmongers on the state-run media and the race baiters on MSNBC don't want that. They want you to be stuck in your underwear in your easy chair watching ESPN. They don't care. They want martial law. Okay? My question is, why are we allowing this to happen? Okay? Why are we allowing this to happen? I don't get it. Okay? I just don't get it. I know from the experiences I have had over the years of doing this show and doing the Views Express Live, I know that people will disagree with me. Do I have a problem with that? No. What I have a problem with is when people disagree with me, they don't have anything to back it up with. Those are the true cowards. Hey, folks, I want you to understand that I want you to be prepared because I care, all right? people in Washington, D.C. don't. I'm sure your neighbors do, and they'll help you out as much as possible. But I got to get out of here because, things don't get done by themselves, unfortunately, and I don't have a robot yet, so, I'm going to get out of here, folks. I go a few minutes over here just to let you know you can come join me on Monday on the Views Express Live, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Free America Radio Network at freeamericaradio.us. If you have any questions, no question is off limits. Please ask. If I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. And, hey, keep going to Free America Radio on Facebook or The Wayne S. Pierce Show on Facebook and check things out there as well. Go to the WayneSPierceShow.weebly.com site for more information as well. Talk to you guys later. Talk to you guys Monday and have a great weekend and enjoy.